And welcome back to the Live Desk, where Donald Trump says he will turn himself in to the authorities in Georgia on Thursday in the latest indictment surrounding those allegations of trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election result.
Writing on his Truth Social platform, the former US president says he's going to Atlanta to be arrested, but calling the campaign a witch hunt, a narrative he's tried to establish to paint himself as a political victim.
Well, let's speak now to the Vice Chairman for Republicans Overseas UK, Erol Morkoc, who says, well, it's given Trump perhaps the theatre that he wants, and clearly it seems to have been working in terms of the Republican Party, in terms of his polling numbers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not only is it a witch hunt, it might end up being Wicked on Broadway in the end. We have a situation where Donald Trump is facing, I believe, 700 years in prison with the potential of a death sentence on some of these charges for seeking a legal remedy to find out during a time of mass chaos, mail-in balloting and whatnot that was going on, just exercising his First Amendment right to question and wonder and ask questions. He's been accused by a prosecutor, just like in Manhattan, who ran on an entire platform of "I'm going to get President Trump." Not only is it a witch hunt, it's an open and clear violation of like targeted prosecution. So Donald Trump, not only does he have the theater.
Well, we've got the election staff themselves in Georgia making the accusations that he made phone calls to try and get the election result falsified effectively in Georgia.
Well, I think it's important you brought that up, because there's the famous quote where he says, let's find more votes. But that's where the media, the mainstream media, ends that quote. He then continues on to say, because I know I've won this state and I know that we have more ballots to collect effectively. So it's a very different statement when you actually look at the entire transcript. When you take the one context, find me 11,000 votes, yes, that would be, considerably questionable. But if you look at the entirety of his statement, he said, find the 11,000 votes that I know that I've won effectively in this state. So I don't doubt that there are going to be people in the Republican Party who have turned on Mr. Trump or never wanted him to be their president. But this is going to end up being, a jury of his peers, and they're going to have to convict somebody of a crime that effectively is a free speech crime. And it's going to be very difficult, especially when, you have precedent of, for example, the first ever candidate to join the resistance after an election defeat was Mrs. Clinton. You have Jimmy Carter, who famously was on stage questioning the validity of 2016 election. So Donald Trump's, just questioning how on earth did all these ballots show up at 3 a.m. or how am I losing what is supposed to be a Republican stronghold, which he ended up losing? These are valid questions by somebody to ask. If he had actually asked them to manufacture ballots or create, fake ballots, that's a completely different thing. But the statement in full context shows that he believes there were more votes to be counted because mail-in votes were coming in late and everything. And I think that's the core of his defense there.
The district attorney in Georgia, Fani Willis, she wants the trial to begin in March. How do you think that's going to play out, given Trump's campaigning as well?
Well, it's not good for the environment. It's going to cause a terrible carbon footprint for Mr. Trump. But with that withstanding, I think he's going to have nonstop media coverage when there's debates, when there's campaigning. Then it's going to immediately be into the trial mode. I think it's definitely going to hurt him with a lot of middle of the road voters who perhaps are seeing this as, a bridge too far. There's too much going on. On the other hand, as we've all seen, it galvanizes the Trump base. But is the Trump base going to be able to win the general? It's going to be a very tight window. So, Mr. Trump is going to be under a lot of stress that I don't think most people would be able to handle. He's somebody who seems to relish being put, man in the arena type of attitude. So it certainly is going to affect the campaign. It's going to give him, talking points on the campaign that he's going to be able to keep reiterating. Look, they came after me. Again, I want to repeat to your viewers, 700 years in prison with the possibility of a death sentence are what these collective indictments carry. No American actually believes that is remotely reasonable. Even if you hate the man, I can't imagine that.
So if he's so keen on being man in the arena, why has he ducked the presidential debates on Wednesday night?
That's a fair question, and I would say from his perspective, he leads the field by such a grand margin. He has nothing to do except expose himself to let's say, interesting Republicans like Chris Christie, who obviously have no chance of winning, but decide to get out there and lob volleys at him, I think he's going to be watching in hope of finding a suitable vice president. And people like Vivek are people who come out and supported Trump. I think he's going to be watching because there's really nobody who statistically can beat him in the primary unless he decides to coronate them and step back, which would be probably a wise choice from a statistical game theory perspective, but that's not how Mr. Trump operates, and we all know that.
OK, well, the latest performance, or whatever you want to call it, coming up Wednesday night into Thursday. Erol, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Now, officially